South Africa are World Test champions, Ayaz, and we'll get into the details of the game, but what are your initial reactions?
Well, from chokers to champions, I mean that's a storyline. What a great and amazing story! Who would have thought that even after reaching the final, the WTC final, that South Africa would win the final. One is, of course, look at their track record. It's actually quite it's been disappointing so far, and over decades, at least for the past 20-25 years. And then playing the mighty Aussies in the final. Who would have thought that they would beat Australia in the final? Remember, Australia, once they make it into the final, it's damn difficult to dislodge them or beat them. But the South Africans have done it, and kudos to them. It's been a marvelous performance from day one, from the first over till the time they seal this win. And I think it's not just redefined their cricketing history. I think it is kind of shaken up the power pyramid or the power grid of international cricket, at least in the red ball format.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the game. So it after the first 2 days, it seemed like the bowlers were running away with it. I think 28 wickets fell in those first 2 days. We saw excellent bowling spells from Cummins and Rabada. And on the third day, it eased up a little bit, and we saw that when Hazelwood was batting like he was like Don Bradman all of a sudden. So after that, the third day eased up, fourth day belonged to the batters. Now, excellent performances, like I said, from Cummins and Rabada and Markram. So how did you see the final in a cricketing sense?
So, I mean, Anirudh, look, I mean, I thought the match was fabulous. It was fascinating, it was gripping, it was riveting, because everything that you want to see in a test match was there. Now, I know, on the first day, 14 wickets fell, on the second day, 14 wickets fell, and it looked very lopsided in favor of the fast bowlers. The conditions, the pitch all seemed to favor the fast bowlers, not the batsmen, not the spinners. And yet, to see what transpired, on the third day, and then after that, and South Africa chasing 282 to win. 281 was the target, 282 to win. And the manner, yes, the pitch eased out, all kinds of things happened, but you still have to get those runs. I mean, the Australians were not giving anything away as charity. So it was a very hard earned win. If you had to chase 281 in the fourth innings, is also a very big score, whatever the conditions. So I think that you have to give credit where it's due. When the conditions favored the fast bowlers, I thought Kagiso Rabada was magnificent. In the second innings, the Australian second innings, there was Ngidi who picked up 3 wickets and brought South Africa back into the game. So it was a ding dong battle right through. I think the Australians obviously suffered because in both innings their batting didn't hold up. Their top orders certainly. Their fast bowlers did their best, especially Pat Cummins, even Mitchell Stark, Josh Hazelwood, not as effective as one would have thought he would be in these conditions. But when you look at it in totality, I think you have to give credit to the South Africans for holding their nerve right through the match. Remember, they're playing the defending champions, and to get bowled out, concede a lead of what, about 70 runs or so, and then go on to win the match. I think it's been a fabulous performance. And Aiden Markram, what can one say? He made a century for the ages. This kind of a knock in a World Championship final against Pat Cummins, Josh Hazelwood, Mitchell Stark, Nathan Lyon. The Aussie fielders, as one might say, and the cussedness of the Aussies, never to give up. So Aiden Markram, Kagiso Rabada, don't forget Bavuma as batsman and as captain. So it's been a fantastic South African performance of ambition, of resolve, and obviously of very high skill.
Yeah, so I specifically wanted to talk to you about Bavuma because we saw him rise as the captain, and he's been around for a while, more than a decade. And a few days before the match started, he was saying that a lot of times when people like him don't perform, they're called quota players, and he's faced this racism nonsense for years. So what does it mean? We saw him hobbling and fighting for his country. So what does this mean for people like Bavuma, like Ngidi, like Rabada, and what does this mean for South African cricketing culture going forward?
I think it'll mean the world to Bavuma. Obviously, I mean, there's been so much. He's been around, as you mentioned, for about a decade. Not everybody was convinced that he belonged at this level. He should be playing for South Africa. But not only has he been playing, he's had his ups and downs. At one time, he seemed he was just a white ball specialist. Then he was captain, and everybody thought this is part of the whole, you know, reservation that the South African cricket system follows, and which is why he's there. He doesn't belong in this group, this flock, this level. But here he is, having led South Africa to their greatest triumph, I would imagine. or I would say in cricket history, and playing such a crucial part in this. That partnership between Bavuma and Aiden Markram has ensured that South Africa win. Otherwise, it would have been a case of South Africa fought hard but yet lost another match, and much it would have just completely watered down the efforts of the bowlers. But Bavuma showed, I think, a lot of courage and skill. And obviously, you need to have that kind of fortitude. His presence, I think, also helped Aiden Markram a lot. Markram is obviously a far more of a natural batsman in that sense, but Bavuma has his own strengths, and strength of conviction is one of them.
Yeah, let's also talk about Australia for a bit. So, this is the first time, like you mentioned, if they reach a final, they usually win. So, this is a first time we're seeing this kind of loss in the Pat Cummins era. So, when he took over, he brought a different aspect into the whole Australian cricketing culture, and a lot of people started calling him woke and soft. Do you think a loss like this will embolden those critics to say that we need to go back to that mentality of Australians being bullies?
Well, I mean that's one aspect that they might talk about. I don't think his being woke, Cummins being a kind of a woke personality, and that doesn't. Sometimes it's mistake. It's kind of misinterpreted that being woke means being weak. I don't think that was the case. And ever since he's been captain, he's won the ODI World Cup not by being soft, and the World Test Championship both against India. I think what happened in this match is that the top order bombed. I mean, Usman Khwaja didn't get going. Marnus Labuschagne didn't get going. Cameron Green on his comeback got, I think, about a pair in the match. Travis Head didn't get going, and I think shuffling the batting order up and down, sending Labuschagne to open the innings didn't work out. So they were actually, in the first innings just making 212. There itself, I think they were on the back foot. So their bowlers brought them back into the game, bundled out South Africa for 138. But that was when the conditions favored fast bowlers completely. So in the second innings, it was incumbent on Australia, having taken that first innings lead, to put it beyond South Africa, which didn't happen because the top order collapsed again. And therefore, I think that Cummins, I think the review will be about what's gone wrong with the batting order. Remember, Khwaja is 38, 39 years old. Cameron Green looked completely uncooked in this match on his comeback match. And obviously, Labuschagne is probably not cut out to be an opener. So, these are issues that they will have to tackle. The other thing, worrying aspect for them would be, and I say that with a little trepidation because things can be proved wrong, is that Nathan Lyon just made no impact in the match apart from bowling a lot of overs. So normally you would have expected on in the fourth innings for Nathan Lyon to come into his own, get those crucial breakthroughs, and then even on a pitch favoring fast bowlers, give the fast bowlers the opportunity by picking up a crucial wicket or two and let them then finish the job. That didn't happen.
Yeah. So, lastly, the Indians are also there. They must have caught it on their TVs. But what do you think they could have learned from this pitch? Of course, the pitch for the ICC final and a bilateral series will not be the same. But do you think they would have gotten a general sense of what to expect?
It's interesting that you mentioned the Indians. I was going to add this bit about India. Remember, Anirudh, had India not lost 0-3 to New Zealand at home and last year, and perhaps won that series, which everybody thought we would win 3-0 or 2-0, if not 3-0, then South Africa wouldn't have been in the final, most likely. Australia looked to be pretty much in the final. India were at one stage ahead or topmost on the points table, and then they tumbled and they stumbled and they tumbled. They lost to New Zealand, they lost to Australia, and allowed South Africa, who had a wonderful streak of wins. And there was talk then that South Africa are so lucky they've got some weak opponents that they've run past, and therefore they are fortunate to be in the final. But hey, they've shown in the final that they deserve to be there. Having after you win it, nobody can dispute that they deserve to be there. But there is a lesson here, I think, for India that look, we've been in two finals, we lost both. There was an opportunity to be in the third final at one stage or for a long spell of that cycle to WTC cycle. I think India took their eyes off the ball after the T20 World Cup win. There was so much elation and celebration which spilled over into other things for months and just kind of took focus away from test ball cricket or test match cricket or red ball cricket. And we bombed badly against New Zealand. And that's where everything went haywire for India and everything came good for South Africa. Now, whether how the conditions behaved in this match will help India in the series against England, they should be aware of it. Remember that the first test starts only a few days from now. So are the conditions going to change dramatically in England? Will it still be lively and helpful to fast bowlers? Perhaps. So there's strategy and tactics which may have to be reformatted or changed or tweaked as they see it.
So yeah, so as we mentioned before, the India-England series starts on June 20th, and we'll come back to you with a preview of that whole series. So that's it for this episode of Sports Room. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Anirudh. We'll catch up.